Hey everyone, my name is Wedge. We're here today because there's a new bit of lore that was recently revealed and we wanted to spread the word about it. It's another piece about Nahiri and what happened on Zendikar between the sealing of the Eldrazi and their eventual release. The story is Stirring from Slumber by James Wyatt, and we encourage you all to go read it on the mothership to get the full story. With that said, here's the short version. Pay close attention because this will probably only get more relevant as we get closer to Battle for Zendikar. Picking up where the story entitled The Lithomancer left off, after Nahiri, Sorin, and Ugin sealed away the Eldrazi within Zendikar, Nahiri remained there. For the first several centuries after the sealing, Nahiri lived among the people of the plane. She passed down her lithomancy skills to plane-bound core and started legends describing the Eldrazi as immensely powerful gods that were not to be disturbed. She took a very direct and personal role in preventing the Eldrazi's release and preparing the people to fight in case it happened anyway. It's important to remember at this point that this all happened long before the Mending, when planeswalkers were functionally immortal demigods. As a result, after centuries of watching as everyone she cared about was born, grew up, and passed away within her lifespan, Nahiri grew wary of interacting with the planebound. Because of this, she took a more passive role in continuing to protect the plane. Rather than live among its denizens, Nahiri instead retreated within Zendikar to the Eye of Ugin and entered a meditative state where she could reach out and perceive the state of the plane itself and react if anything went wrong. Some millennia later, about 1,000 years prior to the present, Nahiri awakened from her state. Something was rotten in the land of Akum. The Eldrazi titans stirred as if to test their bonds to the plane, and that metaphysical unrest resulted in hordes of Eldrazi spawn spilling out into Zendikar. Nahiri set out to quell the unrest, first using the interplanar alert system set up in the Eye of Ugin to try to alert Sorin. However, Sorin didn't seem to hear the call, and even if Ugin might have received it, he probably would have been in a deep dormant state on Tarkir around this time, recovering from his fight with Nicol Bolas. So it was just Nahiri and the natives of Zendikar against the hordes of spawn. Voyaging out to survey the damage done so far, Nahiri found that some of the locations she had known weren't quite as intact as they were before her several thousand-year dormancy. To her surprise, the local religious traditions had become somewhat warped as well. She found a sculpture to Kozilek, or Talib, as he was known to the locals, along with one of herself, labeled as Nahiri, the prophet voice of Talib. It seemed that of her initial message of these guys are gods that you really don't want to mess with, the Zendikari people mainly just remembered the these guys are gods part. Nahiri left and followed the Hedron network to its focal points, and at each of them a horde of Eldrazi spawn had emerged, and she destroyed them. Finally, she reached a focal point in Akum where an unfamiliar jagged structure now stood. This no doubt was the source of the disturbance that had allowed the spawn to appear. Nahiri charged the building and to her surprise found vampires there. Those of us who were around for the original Zendikar block know that vampires are a common sight on Zendikar in the present, but apparently they didn't even exist on the plane back when the Eldrazi were first sealed. The building was a vampire temple of some kind. It contained a statue resembling Ulamog where the vampires had been conducting rituals. Whatever they were doing, it had destabilized the Hedron network. Nahiri dispatched some vampires who approached, not even giving them time to be offended at her defilement of their temple. Then she set about reforging the statue into a new Hedron that would hold the network steady. An amount of time passed that even Nahiri herself was uncertain of, but she ultimately completed her work and repaired the Hedron network. However, Nahiri was now full of unrest. After millennia of apathy and detachment, she suddenly felt fully conscious again. She was also concerned about why Sorin hadn't responded to her call from the Eye of Ugin. Full of purpose and having safeguarded Zendikar for the time being, she sets out to find Sorin. Other lore articles we've seen would indicate that whatever happens between Nahiri and Sorin after this doesn't go so well. Mainly when Ugin inquires as to Nahiri's whereabouts in Sorin's restoration, Sorin is incredibly evasive in answering, though he does confirm Nahiri is still alive. We'll just have to wait and see exactly what happened between them. Cannot wait for more lore. Seriously, I need it. As always, subscribe for the latest and most reliable Magic the Gathering information you could ever need. This is the Manosaurus. I'm Wedge. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Wow.